cool.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Savage Crucible.
Hello.
I'm joined here with Tim and Rob. We're excited to pick at Rob's brain tonight. So,
Indeed.
thank you, everybody, tuning in. I see everybody saying hello in the comments. What's up, everybody? So, we'll just roll right into it. First and foremost, how's everybody doing? Tim, you okay?
Good. I'm good. I'm great. How are you guys?
Yeah, can't complain.
I gotta say, Rob's arms are probably tired from flying back.
Yeah, right.
I am tired. That's true. It's pretty exhausting. We're getting another one of those gauntlets coming back from China, driving over to LA. Thankfully, Chris and Stell gave me a little bit of a break over the weekend, and then tomorrow I leave for LA. Which
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, like Rob said, kind of starts off a little bit of a gauntlet here. We got a couple of conventions left before the year ends. So SGX in Manchester, that's going to be October 20th. Chicago Toy Show on the 27th. And then we're capping off the year with Retro Toy Con November 22nd through the 24th. That's going to be a weekend event. So, and then we'll have some more shows starting off with next year. So.
Ooh, 2025.
2025. So Rob, big trip to China. Super excited. Even teasing us with stuff. But let's talk to you about it a little bit. First and foremost, how did you decide to? What was the decision to go to China? Was it just kind of spontaneous, business related?
It was all business related. That's for sure.
Business related, definitely.
It was not spontaneous in the sense you can't just spontaneously go to mainland China. You actually have to get a visa.
Oh.
And that takes a little bit of a process to get through. And the more involved you are in certain things, the longer the process takes. Like, yeah, I had to give him my DD-214 from when I was in the military. Talk about the things I did. You get to tell them all the countries you visited in the last 5 years. Like it's
wow.
Yeah, I can get pretty involved on the visa, and there's like little mess ups that you can make to getting denied. Now you can fly to Hong Kong and get it done while you're in Hong Kong, and go to the visa office, but that adds a couple days that you can't just go to the mainland. So yeah,
gotcha.
First day there,
is there a cap of how long you can stay?
There is. Now funny, so I got a business visa, which the business visa is good for 10 years. But you have to have a letter from the business that you're going to see that is inviting you. And every time I would go through, because I went to the mainland twice, you'd have to show them the letter. They'd want to see the letter where the business is inviting you, even though you already have a visa and it's good for 10 years.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Nice.
Whoa.
That's good to know. A little longevity to it. Nice. So what was something that was like totally like, going there, like, I guess culture shockish for you?
The only major thing I can say that's a culture shock for me was the smoking on the mainland. Like Hong Kong, this wasn't an issue, but in the mainland, cigarette smoking is still very prevalent, and they let you do it in restaurants.
Oh,
so
wow.
you can be eating dinner, and the two tables on either side of you can both be smoking. Which
I'm going to China.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. It's horrible. And like from my standpoint, like that's something I want to smell when I'm eating. And then the hotels definitely reek of cigarette smokes because there's not designated smoking areas on the mainland. Now,
Wow.
in Hong Kong, it's totally different. But that would be the only thing I would say was a culture shock. Otherwise, you know, Hong Kong, mainland, wherever, everyone was super nice, very friendly people. It didn't matter if I was like in a really big city or even more of the country part. Everyone was very helpful, even though they didn't speak English. Very kind. The food was really good. I mean, they have 7-Elevens there, guys. You can still go walk inside and get a Pepsi and a Snickers bar if you wanted one. Like, it's not the end of the world.
Do they do it like Japan, where they offer cups of ice? Like you can get a cup of ice and then like put your soda. I don't know. Maybe that's
no,
different.
no,
Yeah, no,
nothing like
not
that. No. So, oh yeah, the one thing that someone brought up that was kind of unique culturally is that you need to bring your own napkins and your own toilet paper everywhere you go. And I think it's Ronnie Chin, he's a comedian. If you ever watch one of his routines, he talks about how rich America is because we just have paper towels everywhere.
Yep.
So one of those things, like, everyone walks around with like these little tiny packs of like paper towels, like you wipe your hands off with. And that's culturally different. But you know, they also have tea all the time, and we don't. And you have to ask for it and that kind of things. And it's kind of funny because some people make jokes about like you sterilize your utensils and what you drink with boiling tea. Whereas in America, they just bring it out wrapped in a napkin, and you just hope they washed it well. There, make sure that it's washed well, right? Yeah. And so you think it's weird, but it's kind of actually smart when you think about it. Like, at least you know your stuff that you're eating with is actually been cleaned, right?
I think Kevin DeLeese would agree with that.
Yeah.
It's from his mishap.
All right. Well, we promised everybody that we get to the updates first. That was what we normally do. So,
right.
Get to that.
Okay. Let's see here. So,
and hello, everyone. I see all you guys chitty chatting.
Yeah, right.
Over there.
Chatty Cathy's over here.
Oh, yeah. How are you guys?
So we
everyone
can bring
being
up
safe.
Yes.
Yes. Beautiful. So update everybody. October 1st. So I'll go through this real quick for everyone. Wave 2, as everybody kind of knows, is in production. Estimated to ship from the factory end of November. Depending on the post strikes going on right now, the shipping, the next drop figure and warehouse sales will be in November. So, we're hoping that, that doesn't affect us too much. LA Comic Con this weekend, 4 new reveals. New feet, ankles should ship probably around the same time with the figures from Wave 2. And Wave 3 pre-orders will start on October 11th. So that'll be a 4-week window for that. So nice little update there for you guys. And let's roll right into it. So this is really exciting. Rob put together this nice little thing. So we get to see a little bit behind the scenes. So
yeah. And so on my trip, I got to go to a bunch of different factories. I got to go to our, our toy factory. I got to go to the tooling factory we use. I got to go to our model factory. I got to go to several other toy factories, and I even got to some other tooling factories, which is kind of unique that a lot of all those guys are friends, and they don't mind you coming and visiting and seeing different factories. And so these are literally parts from Who-Man and Nashorn that you're looking at right here. And so these are not completely finished. The outside has to be done up a little bit, but it's just the insight into sort of the tooling in itself and some of the complexity. Tooling plates are actually quite thick. They're like that thick and like they're huge. Like they have to use cranes to hoist these things up once they're put together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so on the right side, you see like these little square blocks. Those are about as big as your fist, right? And about 6 of those can go on one tooling plate, and they kind of set those in. It's really interesting to go through the process because like these are kind of rough. They'll get polished up and they'll be a little bit more polished, like the one on the left. But all this totally mold function, and I think I have a video that we can show.
You bring that up right now.
Yeah.
How cool.
Yeah, and
Oh, and seems like we lost Tim too, but I'll see.
it happened. He'll be
Yeah,
back.
he'll be
Watch
back.
stuff back
Yeah.
to. Yeah, but you saw them. They were
Um,
throwing it in like little buckets of water, basically to cool them off, and
mhm.
we're doing some mold injection around the joints. So that's like insert molding around like the ankles and things like that. So
Wow.
that's why I
Interesting.
didn't want to show the camera all the way at the front of the tooling plate because part of that's a secret that they don't want people to know about. So that was fine, but it was pretty neat. And that's why mold injection takes a little bit longer than just injecting. If it were just injecting and she didn't have to stick her hands in there each time, it'd go a lot faster.
I was actually going to ask you what the difference was with like a mold injection versus what she was doing there. So, wow, real nice. Welcome back, Tim.
The sky is falling. Continue,
Yeah.
please.
Cool. So wave 2 tooling. All right.
Yep. And just to give you guys a little bit more insight into this, that's actually Nashorn's chest piece. Like 3 different pieces. And so like if you think about it, like you got to create that hollow cavity. And so the way it works is like there's literally 3 pieces. So there's 2 comes like this, and there's a 3rd piece like this. So the 3rd piece comes up, these 2 pieces go around it, they inject plastic around it, these 2 come out, that one pulls off, and the piece drops out. Pretty complex. And you can see this guy, how he's got, he's going in and like doing some minor, you guys are dying, I know why. Doing some minor tooling here, whatnot. And we did, as a prank, the factory did pull this wonderful prank on us, our tooling factory. And so we're going to all these different rooms, looking at all this really cool stuff. We walk in this room, and there's this one table in the middle, all by itself, right? And they were watching us the whole time, and we sort of did like a double take. We were like, why is there just like this one table in the middle of this room? And this is what they had on the plate. So he's going real about Chinese. They have one hell of a sense of humor. And we're like, what the hell were the baby feet for? And they're like, so you can tell the size. And I it was bad. Great. It was really bad. But like I said, they have a great sense of humor. It's all in good fun. And we got a good laugh out of it. So, and I hope everybody does too. So.
Yeah. Oh man, that's great.
Yep.
Tell us.
You got to find time to laugh. Sorry.
Because this is pretty interesting here.
Yeah. So when you think about it, like, all right, you're going through, they're making the tooling, and to give people perspective, like, it's not like they tool everything at once and then they send it to all the tooling to the factory at once. What they do is they send a couple of plates off at a time, because what's going to happen is the factory's running, and they're going to get a couple of new tooling plates in, and they're going to go test them at the end of the day. And so, on test shots, how a lot of parts are just in different colors because they're using the plastic that they were using that day. And that's the reason why, because at the end of the day is when they test new plates. And so what most people don't realize is, you send a tooling plate, it got finished, the factory has it now, they're going to test it. Well, they need to make some changes to it. So they'll attempt to either make the changes, or they'll send it back to the tooling factory to make some changes. Then they'll send it back again, and then they'll test it. And that's why it takes a while on certain tooling to kind of dial things in, because the factory does some dialing in, and then the actual tooling factory itself can make changes depending on how sophisticated the changes need to be. And so here we are. These are actually them testing the tooling that came back from the tooling factory. And so we got the opportunity to play around. This is where you test parts to make sure they're compatible with, other figures in the line, things like that. And the way that we did some of our parts, we were trying to be pretty smart about it, where we can change a lot of the faces with a lot of the heads. And so like, this is a great example where we have this one bearded head, but you can see him in 3 different helmets. Right. And so while that's not going to be something you pop in and out, some very advanced customizers can definitely, because it's going to be glued in, but it also kind of creates an opportunity for you later to mix and match faces.
Totally.
Looks right.
Mm-hmm.
Get your exactos ready, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I think let's see, Jaeger's arms or it might be hard to tell. That picture's a little small, but this is just something that you do when you get the parts. You're just kind of playing with them and whatnot. And so that's what we were doing. And so with these tooling, if they're in good shape, what happens is they'll start to do some of the test sampling, the paint sampling. They'll have the paint master, and they'll hand it over to one of their paint masters. And I think I have a video I'll show you. Let's see. Let me pull it up here. Nope, it's the wrong one. Here we go.
It's great to see too, like showing off the interchangeability in the lines, so you can see the lizard body with some of the Wave 2 stuff on there. So everything, you can swap around.
Look at that. Look at Warrior's helmet on that bearded. It's like old man warrior ball and chain.
Let's bring the video up real quick that Rob said.
Love it.
And so what's going on right here is that's the sexton from Wave 2, the waist piece. And so she's actually mixing paint to get the colors right. And what they do at this factory is they want 10 samples to be exactly the same. And they want them to be approved. And then that's what they'll have the mainstream painters do in the painting room. She's not going to hand paint like 4,000 pieces. That's her and this other guy they call Sifu Master. And he that's what they do. They're the ones that color match whatever you give them and then come up with the best process that's effective for the factory. And so when we send in a sample, and that's what was going through a lot of that when we were there. They already had like all these bins full of painted parts for Wave 2 for us to approve. Like they already painted it, like this is what we think it needs to look like. And so there would be back and forth of like, no, we want this darker. No, this should have like more dry brushing on it or something like that. And let's see, I'll add a couple more videos and so this is actually Alex talking with the factory foreman about some pieces. And so what they do is they're literally going over each piece, making comments, and she's going to take it back to those master painters, and they're going to figure out how to come up with a process to do it, and then they're going to bring the final piece back, and then we'll approve it. But this can go back and forth. Like you don't want to do it more than like 4 times. If you're doing it more than that, then you're not communicating well. Like no matter if it's a language barrier or not, like you're just not communicating what you need to have done, right? And so that's where you sort of the give and take is. You're like, well, this was the paint master, but it doesn't look like anything like the paint master. You see that a lot in toys. And so the great thing about our factory is they're really well known for their painting apps, the quality that they bring, because they're very specific about that. They put a lot of money into that staff. So if you want to pay for it, you can get some really, really great painted pieces. Now, I think I have one more production painting video, I think.
Nice.
Let's see. Oh, and then I do have a pad printing video too after this. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what we all wish we had in our garage.
And so like that's another example. I think we've shown it before where they actually create metal molds to go over parts so that you can paint over a piece and not get overspray and things like that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what that little sleeve was that he fitted that in there.
Yep. And behind them, there's like bins of like those sleeves. So like when you they don't just throw them away because they spend so much time creating them that they save them. So if you use it again, they really like that. Like even if you change the colors or whatever, so they can use that same part again.
Is it specifically made for that item, Rob?
Yes.
Oh wow.
They'll even mark the name on it, what it's for, and everything, and then they store it, just like they store the steel molding that you do the injection molding with. So,
oh wow, smart.
And then I think I have the pad printing video. Yes.
Yes, this is neat.
And so like he's kind of clearing it a little bit with the painting. And so that the bottom part, that's actually the pattern. And that thing there in the bottom is actually supposed to hold the part. So he would put the part in there, and then that pad would go over and touch it, pick it up, and go over and paint it down. And we might do it here in a second. Yep.
That looks like it's a cast, right, Rob? That they have to hold it.
Die.
Wow.
So that's a two-step process, right?
Oh wow! I was looking at that like that takes me forever. God, beautiful.
Oh yeah, it's really unique to watch all the different ways. And there's different ways. Like that's pad printing, and then there's some things that we're doing. I might have some pictures later of it where we use some of the digital printing, but we'll get to that.
Was that, Rob, with the pattern on it? Was that like a little metal plate that has it cut out, or?
I don't actually understand what it is. I know that on the pad printing, they design it in a computer, and then somehow they print it out on that computer and then get it to do that thing. And I don't know if it's just like a pressure plate underneath or what, but I don't speak any Chinese, so.
Yeah. Damn, you Google Translate work better.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, I did use a Google Translate, and it would work pretty well lots of times.
Yeah.
But luckily, I had Dave and Alex there, so they both speak Mandarin and Cantonese, so that was very helpful, extremely helpful, actually. China's not the easiest. The mainland China is not the easiest to navigate if you're not a native speaker. It's just a cultural difference on how they present information and things like that. So I can see where it would be overwhelming. But overall, pretty good time. So these are just some parts, some pictures I snapped while we're there. You know, these are the bins. You know, if you're eagle-eyed, you might see some stuff you've never seen before, but we're not going to give people a lot of time to look for that. So.
And next photo. No, wait, I wasn't done looking.
That's weird. I don't know why we have all these green parts. All right, so wave 2 painting. So this is a great example of some of that face digital painting. Now, you'll notice the eyes and how great the colors. Now, these colors are not final, especially the picture on the left. It's a little too dark. The right one looks closer, but the helmet's still not where it needed to be in terms of painting. So, but we spent a lot of time going over that, and we probably went 3 or 4 times going over the eyes and the face and just the tint and overall and things like that. So we're very happy with what's coming down the pipe for wave 2. And I think everybody else is going to be really excited when they get it in hand. So I think the paints are going to be top notch.
I mean, I really get that this isn't final, but man, already looks so kick-ass.
Yeah, it's good. And I think, and honestly, I think that's something I really appreciate about going to the factory, to seeing their attention to detail. Because I don't really show this because I shared it with somebody else, but like it was really neat to see people on the floor see something wrong and then pull it and put it to the side to make sure that it didn't get put out.
Nice.
So you know, not saying they're like 100% perfect, but they do seem to actually really care. Like it's important to them. So yeah, it's really nice. There wasn't like this whole like, yeah, whatever. No, they really do put in a lot of work. So
I was going to ask about that, you know, since, you know, because we think over here like a factory, right? So we're thinking it's, you know, just, you know, kind of people just kind of working away. But like you said, do you see them kind of appreciating what they do? Like, you know, they put care into it and all that. It seems like from what you just said that, you know, they really do care. So that's interesting to know that.
Yeah, not every I think that was sort of the unique differences. I know I talked to you guys about this. When I went to the really big factories that were super nice and had clean rooms and people were wearing like all the crazy stuff you see in movies, like the irony is the stuff they were working on was super cheap. Like not high quality stuff at all, like dirt cheap stuff. But it's all high volume, right?
Yeah, I was
And
gonna
that's
say
what's
probably, yeah.
needed to keep those really big, expensive factories open. And so the factories that are doing the like amazing painting skills or whatnot, those are all the small factories. And that's where they're specializing in. So this is sort of an interesting dichotomy that I was picking up on while I was over there. So yeah, but yeah, they do really care. And now culturally, they might not understand when you're asking them something. They get confused because it's just a point of reference, right? And you're like, oh, I want it
Right.
built like this, and to them, it does look like that, you know. And so especially when we get into colors, when we talk about like brown and red, like there's this leather look we were going for, and we're like, no, we want it brown, and they kept adding red, and we're like, there's some kind of confusion. Like that's why like having visual references like is really great because they can match anything. But it goes back to I remember when we were trying to just pick like t-shirt sizes for some stuff, and they're like they wanted all these 3X t-shirts. I was like, I'm the biggest human being here. Like in a 6 block radius, who's wearing a 3X? And it was Chinese sizes, not American sizes, right? And so like their small is like an extra small or extra small here in America, right? So it wasn't they were 3XL, they were just XL. Like that was yeah. So
I only know that because I a long time ago had ordered a lycra suit of a Deadpool costume.
yeah.
Let's progress. So
definitely.
that's all I'm willing to share for that.
So with that said, folks,
There
sometimes
we go.
things are
On to the next slide.
things are lost in translation.
Right. And, so here, this is like some of the software that they're working on, where we were trying to match some painting and some things like that. So they, a lot of detail. Spent a lot of time working on this. It was really neat to watch. And so what's interesting, like this isn't even the final, but one of these is the sample, and the other one is actually a production. And by the time we were done, you couldn't tell the difference.
Oh wow!
Yeah, the only way we could tell the difference was the plastic that was sticking out at the end.
Yeah, I see at the bottom.
Yeah, that was the only way you could tell. It was quite freaky. But yeah, it was neat. And then here's this like once again, as most people would imagine, like they would paint something in a certain way, they put it in a bin, and then there's a next step, right? So like you would see bins of stuff that would be partially painted, but not all the way painted. And so that's what you're sort of witnessing in these bins and whatnot. So it was
stages, you're saying, Rob, like in between?
Oh yeah, definitely stages. And so like they didn't have like, someone might just be really good at a certain task or something. And so they would just stack the bins up to that person to do that task. And then part of it also goes back to just, logistically doing through what they needed to on that day. So it was really interesting. Like our factory is like 3 stories tall, and like the bottom was the mold injection, the middle floor was like assembly, and then like the top floor was painting.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, and so like
right there,
yeah, and as you can imagine, space is a commodity. So, and we'll get into that later, but just the amount of information that I learned or insight that I learned from going and watching the process and understanding their constraints and understanding like their mindset that I had no concept of or even knew that would be a constraint for them or a problem for them. And then things that I thought were a problem or a constraint, they didn't give 2 shits about. Like, no, that's super easy. Like, are you kidding me? Like, yeah, we do that all day long. I'm like,
right,
oh,
yeah, right on.
Who knew?
We all know you're a great planner when it comes to these things, but what was like one thing that like totally surprised you, at the factory?
One thing.
I guess, or 2 if you want to share.
Yeah. They work really late. Like they don't stop working till 9:00 at night.
Oh, wow.
And so what happens is like a lot of people that work there, Chin pays them a monthly salary based on a certain number of hours, like let's call it 40 hours that they week. Now, they also expect to get a certain amount of overtime in addition to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to work every day on overtime, but they want some overtime pay. They also provide them with 3 meals. So they come to work, they get breakfast, they get lunch, and they get dinner. And so they break 3 times, but they're at the factory for like 12 hours. And Chin actually pays. Some of them live there. They have
Right.
apartments there. And then if they don't live in the apartments, like they have to give them a monthly stipend to cover where they live, like their apartment. So very interesting from that. Now, that goes back into the holidays and things like that. Culturally speaking, some people will just decide that, they're going to leave 2 days early for the holiday and they just leave. That's culturally a little bit different. Not everyone does that, but some of them do, right?
What is a 2-week
goes
notice?
back to, it's kind of neat because Chin's the guy that owns the factory is a super nice human being. He really cares about people. And
like it,
he
right?
pays them more than the going rate, but he does that also because he wants them to come back. Because a lot of people will go back, they travel back home, and they might hear about some other job that's so great, and so they will never come back. You'll never hear from him again. So he doesn't want that. He wants it to be a great place where people feel like they're valued and they get paid well and they're treated well. So that's really important.
Sounds like Harbinger Studios.
Yeah, well, we try. We definitely try. So yeah, so it was definitely interesting. So here's a look at some of the new feet. I think we should, we've been working on this for a while. There's a couple of iterations of this, and it basically came down to, and just to reiterate, the major issue with the feet was not the toe hinge. It was not the ankle. The biggest issue was that during the assembly process, inserting the ankle peg into the foot created a bulge at the bottom of the foot, essentially turning the foot into what looks like a rocking chair. And so that was creating instability. The hinge didn't help because if you're rocking, the toes could stop it, but then they would start to bend. Sure. And then if there was any give in the ankle a little bit with that, combine that. But that was the biggest issue. And so we took this opportunity because we're like, all right, engineering a toe hinge to have the kind of friction that people are expecting, but still be movable without, a more complex joint is actually really hard to pull off. So at the end, after we tried it a couple times, I felt like that this made more sense just to go ahead and retool the foot, make it a solid foot, and make sure we got plenty of space under the foot so that we didn't have any of that issues with the peg bulge, but also go ahead and change the diameter of the hole in the foot because that was a mishap in the first where they're a little bit bigger than standard. Well, bigger than what most people are used to. It's still standard size in terms of I think it's like a 2.5 or something millimeter hole. So we reduced the size of the peg hole so it's a little bit more in line with a lot more lines. The toe hinge was removed. We'll still go back and revisit that. But overall, very happy with it. It's definitely an improvement, definitely helps stand. Once again, guys, these are complex figures. They're meant to be posed. And a stand will certainly help with that. And so it's all about your opinion on how you think you want to display your figures, but this is definitely a huge step forward in terms of improvement for that. And so they're going to be working on them. We're going to get them shipped out. I know everyone's anxious for that, but it will happen. And no, I don't have all the details. So if you bought from a retailer,
right,
we don't know if they're going to ship them out or if I'm going to have to ship them out. That's something we're going to work on. But at the end of the day,
nice. And so I see at the bottom it says that these should ship from the factory in November.
Yep.
Right on.
Perfect. We had a question here. I'll bring it up from Junction Crafts. He says, with so much detail-oriented work, how long does one artisan stay in that job? I'm guessing referring to the painters.
Yeah, the factory workers.
So what they do is they figure out how to either through not molding, but masking and or processing, making it where it's not detailed. It just looks detailed. And so you either do masking or something like that. Now the two master painters they have work with the colors and mixing it with that, and that's their job for life. Like that's what they like to do. Like they're painters, just like customizers. They love doing it. But
Are these I'm sorry to interrupt you, Rob. Are these specific to that factory, or do they do?
no, they're specific to that factory. They work there. That's their only job.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And so they try to come up with a process that's easier for the line workers to do it. And so that's part of what makes them a master, is not just paint matching, but it's also like to create this effect, you can do this in 3 steps. You can, do this like this, and this will give you this look that you want. Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. Very nice. Let's see if we got any other questions real quick here.
There's another one.
They were saying about the wear and tear on their hands, but from what Rob just kind of described, it seems like, they make it so it's not too tedious on them, I guess. Let's see. Well, Renato, what are you asking here? What are you asking? Of course, they'll have toe hinges.
Oh, I don't know. I have to think about it. Like I haven't tooled that yet, so that is a that is a great question. So that's something that's
he's B1 for a reason.
B1.
Yeah. No, because this way, like on the Lemurians, people have feet that have toe hinges, right? So you're not going to be without them. So it's not the end of the world, at least on the originals.
Right.
If we have any drop figures that have, all new drop figures will have the new feet. So yeah, they may not have toe hinges, but we'll go from there. Sometimes it's a give and take, and we're learning as we go.
Right.
The toe hinges on the secondary market. I heard you looking. I heard you looking for some articulation in the toes.
Yeah. They're all like.
All right, so we got to go to some of the model shops, and so this is one of the more well-known ones. There's one other one that's pretty well-known, and this one is one of the ones that does model shops for Hasbro. And it was kind of neat because they have like a whole model shop where they do like prototypes and stuff, but then they have a whole factory where they make stuff. And so I got to tour the whole thing, and they were actually they had just gotten through, and you guys have probably seen some of the pictures that I think we'll have here in a second, but doing the models for the Pirannoids. And I got to see their whole process because they're dealing with like Hasbro and Marvel and Disney. And this sheet of paper that's on the screen is the schematic that the person gets to work with. Well, what you don't know is it's actually pasted to this board. And in the right-hand corner is a control number that each piece of paper has. It's stamped on it. And there's no Wi-Fi, and you can't carry your phone. If you're a worker, you can't carry your phone in there.
Oh, wow.
And so you can't tear off the piece of paper, put it in your pocket. You can't take a picture of it with your phone. And I actually saw some Hasbro prototypes that haven't been revealed.
Wow.
And it was pretty neat. But I got to take a picture of this because it's mine. And it was really neat. But they have to go through all these control processes to make sure that they try to limit how many leaks there are. And that's why things get to stay semi secret for a decent amount of time, is because they're controlling that information.
Sure.
And it was really neat to walk through that. But they definitely that factory was pretty wild. They do some really high-tech stuff there. Some of the, like I have this one thing where they're making a tooling plate, but they make a tooling plate by literally pressing metal into metal with water and electricity, and like just slowly like pressing. It was crazy.
What?
Yes. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And then they have it like they have mold injection machines where they were mold injecting in like 4 different colors.
Wow.
The same thing. Yeah. So it was pretty neat. It was pretty wild, but yeah, I don't know, but it's pretty wild what they can do. And then we'll see if anybody's eagle-eyed and catches anything on this slide. And then here's some examples. These are just from the model shop, and you guys will see some new paint samples coming up from some Paint Master finals here in the coming weeks. We're still going to be based off of what Tim and Nikki did, but after some internal discussion, there's some effects that we really like that we're going to try to incorporate that shouldn't change anybody's mind about anything, but just adding more a sort of a level of fun to the figures.
And we love fun.
We do love fun. We do.
A little too much. No.
All right. So soft goods, a whole nother factory works on soft goods for us. And these are samples. The colors are not right, and these aren't final, but the textures on the backside are exactly what I wanted for Warrior Ball and Chain. And the black cape is exactly what I wanted in terms of texture and distressedness for Jaeger. The irony is that everyone thinks that the Warrior Ball and Chain cape is the most expensive one, and it's not. Jaeger's is by far more expensive. They both are going to come with wires and whatnot. Now I say that, although we are adding a new texture step to the Warrior Ball and Chain cape on the inside, so that might actually make it more expensive than Jaeger's. But these pictures
does that have to do with material, Rob?
What we're looking at is putting a latex film on the inside of the Warrior Ball and Chain's cape to give it a skin leather look, instead of just looking like fabric on the inside with fur on the backside.
That's badass.
Yeah,
wow.
Love it.
And that's actually how I know the factory. They put out a really amazing cape one time, and they did like fabric, and then they did like latex, and then they did like a texture latex on top of it, and I was like, that's just amazing that you can do that. Wow. And I hadn't seen anybody doing that. And just so happened, the reason why I knew about them is because this guy is really good friends with Alex, who lives in Hong Kong, is one of our painters and designers. And so we got introduced, and so he's handling all the soft goods because he does such a great job at it. This guy's also a toy manufacturer as well, puts out his own Robotech and Monster Hunter stuff, which I collect. Yeah, I just picked this up in Hong Kong too. This thing is
bring you
amazing.
Up here. Oh wow!
Holy shit!
Yeah, it's fucking nice. So,
well, showing that, Rob, I'm sorry to interrupt you, kind of a little off subject, but how is I guess a lot of it is with the modern animation and old animation as far as toys go. You probably see a lot of that, but did you see a lot of indie toy companies, or how's the indie toy scene over there?
That's a great question. I think we have a section on toy shopping at the end, don't we?
Yeah,
we'll start. No, I know we're running out of time. I think we're almost there. Are we almost there? Is that good? Is that your version of a segue? I just
I learn from the best now.
Yeah, there you go.
Why don't you get things started?
So, excellent question, and I probably should have put that picture. The picture on the first page is great because that's the ideal, like that's the typical toy store in China. Like it's small and shit is piled in the and you've got like this much space, and you got to shimmy down. You got to bend sideways to see what's on the bottom of the floor. But having said that, they have toy malls where they have like over 100 stores. Okay.
It's called well, that's where we go when we die.
Yeah, exactly. It was crazy. And so like we would go like the first time we went to like 2 different like malls, and there was like so many stores, and like half of them would be closed. That was the other thing that was kind of weird, is like they have like weird hours and weird days, like each store, like it's like they just do whatever the hell they want. And like, and I think Orion went to the old Hot Toys. Hot Toys started out like this little thing in a mall, and it was like customizing parts or whatever. And they became this huge company. So the old Hot Toys store is still there.
That's cool.
Yeah, but like all these little boutique toy stores, but there's hundreds of them, and then like if you go to the next building over, there might be like it might be 20 stories tall, and there might be 6 toy stores, but you have to go look at the list, and you got to know because they'll move, right? And so you just keep going. So like that was in Hong Kong, and then we went to a city in the mainland to another like 2 toy malls, and that was a lot of fun. And so to answer your question, there are some Chinese brands that have been picking up a lot of IPs to make stuff as well. A lot of the companies like you see like selling through K2 toys or whatever that get brought over to America, like we didn't see any of those in China.
Wow, really?
Right. Yeah. Like, and you're thinking, well, they're there. Why aren't they selling? Like, you saw a tremendous amount of like NECA, Bandai.
Wow.
You saw some Joy Toy, a lot of Hasbro. The thing that was probably bigger there were toy models, like the old, like
that's what
NECA models that you put together, you know, like old school. That's really big right now. And I think the other thing that was really neat was capsule toys. And they're at home right now, but like you can go into a store and they'll just have like a row of like these, like, you know, like those machines where you used to put a quarter in.
Yeah.
Well, imagine if a quarter, it's like $8. And like it fits in like the size of your hand, right? Well, like Bandai has all these things, and like there'll be like frogs and turtles and beetles, and that's the cool stuff I like. But then there's like all this other like random stuff that doesn't appeal to me per se, but like appeals to other kids and other adults and whatnot, whether it's anime or whatnot. And that was wild to see that. And what's neat is like it didn't take coins, it took a card, like they call it a octopus card that you put money on, and then you just like use that card to turn the machine on to do it. So
wow,
that was really neat. I did get a Mainzinger Z 50th anniversary edition when I was there. This thing's massive. Is it over here? I think it's over here.
While you're looking for that, Rob, out of curiosity, did you happen to see what that cat bought while he was in there?
All right, so that's, you know, if you don't know, cats are huge in Asia, okay? And they're in all the stores, not all the stores, but they're in a lot of stores. Like it's like a store mascot. So it doesn't matter if you go into a convenience store, a
I love it,
or whatever, they have a cat, and he just hangs out. And they don't care. They're just like, yeah, whatever, dude. It's my place. It's awesome. So I got this.
The pest control business in China is not that good because the cat.
Holy shit, man!
Yeah, it's huge. And so this is like $800 and something, I think, on BBTS, and I got it for $400 or less.
Wow!
And that was in Hong Kong.
How are the prices compared to here?
A little bit cheaper, depending on certain factors. Now, this is where it gets interesting. In America, the like classified stuff gets discounted a lot quicker than in Hong Kong.
Oh.
Because I saw figures there that were more expensive than what you were getting clearance here. But what's interesting is, like, you know, there's all the Hasbro Pulse stuff everybody had, like Chuckles, freaking Once a Man,
yeah,
like,
that's a nice. That's a nice sting. Yeah, that's a nice sting in the eyes.
Oh yeah. But and of course they get their stuff faster than we do. Like, you know, like I got all the Storm Shadow, the whole Marine 60th anniversary figure. I had all those like a month ago. So that was kind of neat.
Did you get Road Pig?
I already had them on pre-order, so it didn't really
He's like,
sense. But it was kind of neat. And then there's like these little things like this Iron Man, fat Iron Man with a donut kind of stuff that you'd run into that would just be kind of like neat little one-off things. And
it's Iron Buddha.
It is Iron Buddha. It's a fat Iron Buddha. And so like here's a great example, like this store with that's Dave. Like that's this store. That's all it is. Like literally you just walk in and it's like all the way to the back, and then you hit the shimmy, and that's kind of the whole thing.
Wow.
So
what an experience.
It really was. It also taught me a lot about packaging and how it's what's important in trying to sell in China versus trying to sell here is completely different. Like, even the way that they do pre-orders, like they would have this board outside of the store with like a thing, and then that's how you pre-ordered. Like, you would go inside and tell the shopkeeper that you want this, and that's how you would pre-order. And I was just like, that's wild. I can't. Oh, how much is it? That's in Hong Kong dollars. Let me see. I'll look it up real quick.
Oh God, here we go. And this is why the show is extended.
I'm sorry.
Jackie Crafts, how much was Iron Buddha?
Can I get that in USD, please?
Yeah. Mini Washington.
All right. Well, let's carry on while he's figuring that out. So, look at that. Look at what's underneath the GI Joes? That's what I'm having trouble seeing. It almost looks like packs.
So that hiss is like $435 roughly.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what he's got listed at. Some places that you can barter if you want to.
I would buy it. Yeah.
What's under the GI Joe? These are Transformers.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably. Yeah.
There's like a Toys R Us in Hong Kong too. So don't
Yeah, of course they still got one.
Yeah.
I mean, they also have Disneyland, which that's always a source of because my parents didn't love me enough to take me to Disneyland. I've never been. Or Disney World or wherever. There's Disneyland and Disney World. Is that right?
Disney World is in Florida. Disneyland is in California. Right? I don't know. Something like that.
Who cares? Yeah. I didn't get to go either, Rob. I'm with you, man. Fuck them.
All right, so yeah, so that's Eddie. He owns the model shop. That's Alex, the backside of Alex. That's some random guy over on the left harassing us. This is actually Shenzhen. We went to that city one time from the train from the mainland, and it's a mega city, meaning it has over 17 million people. That one photo doesn't even do it justice. It is, to put it in perspective, New York City has like 6 to 7 million people. This was by far the cleanest, prettiest city that I've ever been to in my life, with over 17 million people.
How was transportation?
Pretty wild. So the train system is amazing. The high-speed train's pretty awesome. You can get someplace pretty well. Taxis, all that jazz. It's relatively easy as long as you speak Chinese or Mandarin. I would say that not every city was as clean as like Shenzhen. Some more different than others. From that perspective, just like you would expect in America, right? Like there's definitely Shenzhen is a very rich city, very affluent. So that's sort of my take on it. Like I said, I was pleasantly surprised on how nice everybody was. Didn't matter where I was; they were very, very, very nice. Had really great food. From that,
you eat anything exotic?
Oh yeah, there was like cow tongue, and there's brains, and cooked brains, not raw.
Yeah.
They kept trying to like, oh, have you ever eaten intestines before? And I'm laughing. I'm like, I'm from Alabama. My entire family grew up on farms. Like, there's nothing.
Oh, let me tell you.
Yeah, like you're kidding yourself.
Real quick, I see that we're wrapping it up, and we ended it with hope to see China soon. Was there anything that you came out of the factory thinking differently? Was there any different takeaway? I mean, that's
perspective.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hell of an experience.
Yeah. So dramatically, actually, I spent half the time there revamping how we're gonna do everything in 25. Actually, so yeah. Let me think about how I want to.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, man. I'm just curious.
No, well,
so it interests me. Like, we've done a pretty good job of getting our stuff out relatively fast, and I'm really appreciative of that, and we've done a great job, and all that has to do with what we've done on the back end that people don't know about to get everything ready so the factory could do that. And so when I got there, talking to them and asking questions and trying to understand things better, I got a much clearer understanding of what their bottlenecks were versus what I thought they might be. Also, things that I thought would be complex for them, they kind of laughed at. We're like, no, we can do that in a day. That's nothing. But this is our problem. This is our constraint. And so it also, like, going through just the process of approving the paint samples, it made so much sense why when you do big waves, everything takes so much longer. Everything is compounded. And so even though I tried my best to make our waves small, I didn't make them small enough. And I think what's going to happen, well, I know what's going to happen, you guys know what's going to happen, is that for 25, starting in January, about every other month, we're going to be having a reveal / pre-order for 2 to 3 SKUs. And those are going to start pumping out really quickly. And so we've worked it out and understand. So part of this was the trip, part of this was the last 6 months, understanding where the constraints were and getting it set up with tooling and our design so that we can do this and effectively push out new figures, every figure with some kind of type of new tooling moving forward. And so that way, by the middle of 2025, you guys are going to be getting 2 to 3 figures every 2 months in hand. This
I like it.
Past wave 3, but that's something that we have to do right now. And so that goes back to why we're putting up wave 3 next week for pre-order was an issue that I had, or quasi created, right? Like, I told everybody that I didn't want to put up wave 2 for pre-order until they had wave 1 in hand, because I wanted them to know what they were buying. And we did that. And it was the right thing to do. Wave 2 got a little delayed because of something outside of our control. But having said that, we're still relatively on track for wave 3 for the second quarter of 2025. Having said that, I don't think that it's the right thing to do in terms of trying to. I was in a quagmire, right? If I put it up in January for the pre-order for wave 3, then I really can't do what I need to do to get this moving on the SKUs, 2 SKUs every 2 months kind of concept. At the same time, if I put it up in November and December, I feel like that really hurt everybody, because that's when you're doing your family stuff, all the Thanksgiving, Christmas, right? There's all this money going,
right,
all these other places, and wave 3 is a big wave. And so I was like, you know what? Let's just put it up now. This is where it needs to be. Get it out of the way, and then that way we can get the ball rolling in January with the new stuff, and then people will really pick up and understand the cadence. And so part of that goes into what's in wave, or not in wave, but some of the reveals this weekend. I'm not going to spoil everything, but there's so much stuff in January that you're not going to see coming, and vice versa. So I think everyone's going to be really excited when they start to see things. And I think when they start to see some of the new tooling and things like that we've already got in the hopper and already got finished, that I think they'll start to understand what I was going for from the beginning, but couldn't really communicate that well for various reasons. But yeah, so it has dramatically changed that. And I think it's going to be really fun and exciting for 25.
It sounds like it. I like it. It's simple. Year, right? It's easy to remember. 2 figures every 2 months. That works for my wallet.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's huge. I think it's huge.
Yeah, it's incredible. Are you kidding me?
Yep.
Thank you again.
I think there was a question saying how long the pre-order will last. It'll be 4 weeks.
Yeah.
We open it.
B1 wants to know if you'll give us a little twirl. Come on, darling. He wants to see the back of your shirt.
He's going to be in Atlanta in like not Atlanta, LA in like 48 hours. Right?
Yeah, like, chill, bro.
I can't wait. Just turn around. We know what you really want to look at, Ren.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
Don't worry. You'll have plenty of fun this weekend. Well, That's really cool, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Truly, Rob. Yeah, some great stuff, guys. A lot to take in. A lot to take in with this episode. So we'll leave you guys with that. We'll let you guys, digest it a little bit.
That's a lot to digest.
Yeah, right.
A
lot. Whoever's going to be at LA Comic-Con this weekend, we look forward to seeing you guys in person. Definitely swing by the booth. You can't miss us. And anybody else joining us to the other conventions, we're looking forward to seeing you as well. So,
indeed.
Tim, anything else you want to add at the end here?
I love all of you guys. Thank you so much. No, that's it.
That's it, right?
Thank you, guys. Hit that like button.
Any parting
Hit
words?
that like button. Hit that like button, guys. Hit the like button.
Give us some likes here. Subscribe. Anybody that hasn't subscribed for updates. We love doing these videos.
Look, they're all trying to pile in the questions now.
Right.
It's over, guys. It's over. You guys waited too long. You waited too long.
Oh, look at them. Yeah, save the questions. We'll get to them eventually. I appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll get an update out on Kickstarter. Share the information. If you make it out to LA Comic Con, please do. The Frazetta Museums, Frankie and his sister are going to be there. They're going to have their own 10x10 booth incorporated into ours.
Awesome.
It's worthwhile to come out. I think
Frazetta and
the reveals in
Crucible
person is going to be a big deal. So looking forward to it, guys.
Indeed, we all are.
Yes. With that, everybody, stay savage and have a wonderful night. Thank you again for
savage indeed. Thank you.